Hi everyone, in today's video we're going to answer the questions: can immigrants apply for unemployment benefits? And will this harm them down the line? These are two very important questions, and they're two very relevant questions in light of coronavirus. So if you're curious about that, that's what we're talking about today. And without any further ado, let's get started. So for those of you that don't know me, as a quick overview, my name is Michael Ashoori, and I'm a U.S. immigration lawyer based in Los Angeles, California. At my law firm, we help clients from around the nation, from all 50 states and worldwide for that matter. Again, if this is your first time here, we post immigration content regularly, especially with everything that's going on with coronavirus. So the best way to stay in touch with our videos is to subscribe to our channel. If you have not yet done so, please go ahead and subscribe, and that way you'll get updated with the videos that we post. Another thing that I'd like to let you know is that if you have any questions at all, I personally monitor these comments, so you can just put a comment down below, I'll review it, and I can get back to you that way. So with that general overview, let's get started. So since the start of the coronavirus pandemic, many lawful permanent residents and people on non-immigrant visas have lost their jobs. It's just a reality of what's been going on. So the question is, can you, if you've lost your job as a result of coronavirus, apply for unemployment benefits? And the answer is that if you are lawfully authorized to work in the United States, you may be eligible to apply for unemployment benefits. Now, I want to point out one important thing. Unemployment benefits and the requirements for unemployment are handled at the state level. So, in order to check the particular requirements for your state, you should do exactly that. Do a Google search on your state plus unemployment, or some way find out the particular requirements that your state has in place to obtain unemployment benefits. And check that out, because every state is slightly different. So make sure to check your state's particular requirements. But it's important to know that, again, if you're lawfully authorized to work in the United States, whether you're a permanent resident, whether you're a non-immigrant that has work authorization, whatever the case may be, you may be eligible for unemployment benefits. So now that we've answered that question, let's get to another very important question. Will getting unemployment benefits classify me as a public charge? And we'll get more into what a public charge is, but for now let's get to a quick answer. And the answer is no. Getting unemployment benefits will not by itself classify you as a public charge. So, there's some good news there for those of you that are very worried about this. It's that unemployment benefits by themselves are not going to classify you as a public charge. Now, let's get into more details about this whole public charge thing, what it means, and let's talk about that. So, the public charge process is basically a process that USCIS undergoes when they evaluate somebody for immigration benefits, non-immigrant status, extensions of status, and applications for adjustment of status. In any of these cases, USCIS may conduct a public charge assessment to see if someone is likely to go on public benefits, basically to become a public charge, for example, going on welfare or other similar benefits. That's what the public charge assessment is. It's to test and to evaluate whether someone is likely to go on these benefits. And the way that USCIS conducts its analysis as to whether someone is going to become a public charge is that they evaluate many different factors. So they weigh many factors to see if someone will be a public charge. Some of the factors that they will weigh include the person's English speaking ability, their income, their education level, their credit score, any previous or existing health issues, and they'll also check if the person has ever been on any certain public benefits. So they'll weigh all of these factors to determine whether someone is likely to become a public charge down the line. Now, unemployment benefits are not a negative factor considered by USCIS. It's important to know that. Whereas, for example, a previous history of being on welfare benefits could be a negative factor and is a negative factor considered by USCIS, unemployment benefits are not. Now, I do want to mention that income is a factor considered by USCIS, and being unemployed as a result of being laid off due to coronavirus is a factor that does affect income. So if you're currently unemployed and on unemployment benefits as a result of coronavirus, and perhaps you have an interview coming up for an adjustment of status or something along those lines where your public charge assessment is going to come into play, I want to go over some tips to help to protect yourself if you're currently receiving unemployment benefits. So let's go through those. Tip number 1, you should have evidence showing a track record of being employed, right? This basically is, painting a picture that you're somebody that's regularly employed. Previous jobs demonstrating a long history of being employed with different jobs and so on and so forth is going to be helpful to show you as somebody that's regularly employed, regularly maintaining a good income. Now, that's the first piece of evidence. The next piece of evidence that you should have is you should have evidence available showing that you were laid off due to COVID-19. And I put here an example of such a piece of evidence would be an email from your supervisor, mentioning that the reason for your layoff is due to coronavirus. And the reason for this is that by having a piece of evidence such as this, you're showing that you're not just getting terminated for performance-related issues, but really these are circumstances that were beyond your control that are affecting millions of people, and it kind of changes the narrative of the reason why you are currently unemployed. And that's basically what we're doing here with these different tips and these different pointers for evidence that you compile. We're helping to show the narrative and to shape the narrative as to why you went on these unemployment benefits. That it wasn't because you're an incapable person. It wasn't because you have difficulty maintaining a job, but that it's because circumstances happened outside of your control, and that's the narrative that you're painting with this evidence that you're compiling. So that's tip number 2. And lastly, tip number 3 is to have evidence available showing that essentially you're very employable, that you're very likely to get a job. So evidence of your education. Again, this is also kind of duplicative of evidence that we mentioned in tip number 1, but evidence that you've routinely maintained employment. It's going to be very helpful to kind of show this story that we're showing about you, that you're somebody that does work, but again, situation outside of your control, which has led to you going on these unemployment benefits. So to recap, in this video, we've gone over whether immigrants are eligible for unemployment benefits and whether this will classify them as a public charge. If you guys have any questions whatsoever, put them in the comments below. I'm reviewing the comments and I would be happy to answer you. Also, there's a lot of good news in this video. If you know anybody that could use some good news, especially in this time of coronavirus where there's not that much good news, every day, feel free to share this video with them to hopefully brighten up their day and to share knowledge. Everybody, knowledge is power. So go ahead and share. Again, to stay on top of all of our videos, go ahead and subscribe to our channel. As always, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you on the next video.